Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with Kevin's Considerations. And today I would like to share some thoughts with you about something that all of us have to deal with from time to time, and that is criticism. All right. Recently, here at the Meaford Church of Christ, we've been studying a book called The Barnabas Factor, written by Aubrey Johnson. Great book, talks a lot about how to be better at encouraging others. Now, what's interesting is, while we've been discussing the book, one of the things that has come up in our discussions is that often our experience has been that, yeah, other people are not very encouraging. In fact, they're rather discouraging, and they share with us an awful lot of criticism. And so the question has come up more than once as we've talked about the principles outlined by Aubrey in this book. Okay, that's great, and that's good to be a better encourager, but how do we deal with criticism, especially if you begin to encourage someone? Okay, if you begin to do the right thing, you will often face criticism, and that's true really if you begin to do anything. Aristotle said that you can avoid criticism just by saying nothing, doing nothing, and being nothing. All right, and I think his point is well made. The reality is that almost anything you try is going to elicit some criticism. Now, I think most of us understand that criticism can break down into sort of three main categories: very meaningful and helpful criticism, criticism that's misguided. This is a person who their intentions may be right, but they just don't understand the situation very well. And third is mean-spirited criticism, someone who's jealous or who doesn't like to see others succeed, is just going to attack whatever good thing you might be doing, maybe because it wasn't their idea, or maybe because they feel like, maybe they're competing with you in some way. All right, so criticism is pretty common to all of us, and it falls into a couple of different categories, or three different categories, and we ought to respond to it based on which category it falls into. Is it meaningful and helpful? If so, then we should embrace it. Is it misguided? Well, then maybe we need to educate that individual. And if it's just mean-spirited and spiteful, then we either can ignore it, or we could actually, if it gets too far, we could say to that person, hey, back off, right? If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all, like our parents used to tell us when we were little. Now, even though most of you listening probably know that, for some reason, it's often easier said than done, isn't it? And I believe that's because criticism plays into our pre-existing self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy. And so when someone, accuses us of doing something wrong or criticizes the way we've approached a situation, we take that to heart because deep down inside, we kind of feel like maybe we did blow it. We feel like, yeah, we don't have things figured out. If someone says, you really need to work harder in school, we go, yeah, but I'm dumb and I can't do well in school. And it just, criticism feeds into all the things that we secretly think about ourselves already. And so is there a way that we can do better at dealing with criticism? Yeah, I think there is. And let me discuss a few things that I think if we're mindful of, we can do better when we are criticized moving forward. So the reality is it's going to happen. So let's just think about some of the things associated with it that hopefully will help us to manage better. Number one, I want you to remember that there can be real danger in criticism, okay? Satan can use criticism to really undermine our motivation and even our willingness to do the things that we need to do. Things that would make us better as people, things that would make us more effective in God's service, things that would make us healthier, more well-rounded individuals. Think about this. Satan doesn't want any of that for you. And so if he can stop you from taking those healthy, good steps, he's going to. Recall in Matthew chapter 16 and verse 22, which is where I've got my Bible open to here now, that Jesus had outlined to his disciples what it meant that he was the Messiah and what he was going to need to do. And right away, Peter, it says, takes him aside and says, whoa, you can't do that. And Jesus responds by saying, get behind me, Satan. Okay, you are a hindrance. And so Jesus right away there understood that Satan was using Peter to stop him from doing what God had called him to do. And don't think for a second that Satan won't use other people around you to do the same thing to you. Satan, remember, doesn't want you to succeed. He doesn't want your church to succeed. He doesn't want your ministries to succeed. He doesn't want your family to be healthy. He doesn't want your children to grow up to be Christians. And so anything that he can do to get in the way of those things, he's going to. Excuse me, it seems I've got a bit of a cold coming on, although it wasn't 5 minutes before I started recording this video. Remember also over in Ephesians chapter 6, verse 16, we're told to put on the whole armor of God. And one of the things that we do is extinguish the fiery darts of the evil one. And so again, Satan is out to get us and wants to stop us from doing the right thing. Another danger closely related to this one can be found in the book of 1 John. In 1 John, there were some people there who wanted others to believe a lie. Okay, so there were some false teachers coming around those Christians, and they were trying to get them to believe things that weren't true. Now, the problem was they understood, hey, these are not dumb people. They're not just going to believe any old thing we tell them. So first, what we need to do, let me just adjust my Bible a little bit. There we go. So first, what we need to do is undermine their confidence, undermine what they think of themselves. We want to convince them that they're ignorant, that they're uninformed. I know that's the same. That they're not sophisticated, that they don't have the deep insights into spiritual things that we do. And once we've convinced them that they're basically idiots, then they'll look to us for the answers and we can lie to them more readily. And that has not stopped happening, okay? A lot of salesmen are very effective by using strategies that undermine people's confidence to get them to only find confidence in listening to the salesman, all right? This is a common tactic. And so for all of those reasons, we need to be very careful about how we receive criticism and how we handle it, because it really can be used to harm us. All right, number two, let's take the next step here, and that is, this is a little more mundane. This is related to average people, okay? People in general are not very good at assessing anything. Okay, we tend to be overreactive, we tend to be emotional, we tend to be biased about just about anything. And so listen, when it comes to criticism, when it comes to feedback of any kind, you're probably not as awesome or as awful as people are trying to say that you are, okay? Because people just are not good at making assessments. So we need to be very careful in how we weigh the feedback that people give us, either positive or negative. All right, you may recall that Paul said that the Bereans were very noble because they examined the things that he said. Essentially, in Acts chapter 17:11, Paul says, look, they didn't just believe everything I said, but they went and checked it out. Essentially, they criticized Paul. In Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 31, the wise man says, the ear that listens to life-giving reproof will dwell among the wise. And the wise man is just saying, hey, you need to listen to good criticism. You need to listen to good advice because it can really, really help you. And so if you just remember, okay, that people are not always very accurate about just about anything, okay? Just then take their feedback with a grain of salt, okay? If it's legitimate, hey, that's great. If it's illegitimate, then good, ignore it. But you need to be testing it. You need to be asking those questions because they're very, very important. Finally, let me finish with this thought, and that is that you are better than your latest failure. Okay, and you're stronger than your weakest moment. So don't let those things define you. And that's the danger of criticism. Criticism puts us in that mindset where we can't get anything right. We can't do anything good. We're not helpful. We're not useful. And that's exactly where Satan wants you to be. And that's where he wants you to stay. And don't let him put you in that place. Okay? Yes, there's a place for criticism. Yes, it's important to listen to other people, but you need to make sure that you're not allowing other people to manipulate you. You need to make sure that you're not letting your effectiveness be stifled by the influence of others. Don't let criticism stop you from serving God and being effective as effective as you can possibly be. God bless you. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.